Do you ever watch the different ways people ride bicycles? Kids make the most use of bikes. They are not only an easy means of transport over any paved surface, but also great toys. Bike riding is fun and carefree until you discover cars. Just how do bike riders deal with cars? Some ride on the left in hopes of dodging oncoming cars. Some try to avoid cars by riding on the sidewalk. Kids are not the only ones who react to cars in these ways. Many adults do too, continuing to ride the way they learned as children. Riding on the sidewalk may seem safe, but it is often more dangerous than riding on the street because of additional conflicts with cars at driveways and intersections. Riding on the left may seem safe, but it causes more bike-car collisions than any other single factor. Fortunately, there is a safer way to bicycle than this. It is to move with the cars, as a vehicle, riding according to traffic law. Any other method of riding is dangerous. This safer method is based on the Uniform Vehicle Code, which is the model for traffic law in most states. At the mention of traffic law, many immediately think of fines or restrictions. But look beyond these at what traffic law does to make traveling safe. Traffic law establishes right-of-way so that many vehicles may travel safely and efficiently on the same road. It defines safe procedures for turning and other maneuvers. And where conflicts may arise, it defines which vehicle driver will yield in order to prevent collisions. Since all vehicle drivers should be familiar with traffic law, your movements and path of travel become predictable when you ride according to the law. Exactly how can a bicycle be ridden on the road as a vehicle? First of all, ride on the right as part of the normal traffic flow. Where the lane is wide enough, ride just enough to the right to let cars pass you easily in the same lane. But be sure to stay far enough from the curb to avoid road edge hazards. For sharing the lane to be safe, the lane must be wide enough, you must ride straight, and motorists must pass properly. On very wide lanes, ride just enough to the right for cars to pass you without having to move left to do so. Many lanes are too narrow to share with passing cars. Always ride near the center of these narrow lanes, so motorists will have to change lanes to pass. Where rows of parked cars narrow the lane, ride a door's width out. Where there is no traffic in your direction, ride well out from the curb to be more easily seen. In most cases, traffic law permits passing on the left only. Even though you ride to the right of cars, do not pass on the right. As a vehicle operator, change lanes and pass on the left. This is the standard way to pass, and you stay out of the motorist's right rear blind spot. Before you move left to pass, look back and yield to any vehicles in the lane you want to enter. The intersection between a driveway and the road is the first intersection most vehicle drivers encounter. Before entering the road, yield to pedestrians and vehicles already on the road. At intersections of streets or roads where there are no signs or signals, the vehicle that will reach the intersection last must yield. When two vehicles reach an uncontrolled intersection at the same time, the one on the left must yield. A stop sign requires vehicles to stop and then to yield to cross traffic. Since motorists on the crossroad expect all vehicles at the stop sign to yield to them, it is especially dangerous to run stop signs. It is also very dangerous to go through red lights, since motorists with the green light expect to have a clear path ahead. Many motorists will start moving the moment their light turns green, so stop for a yellow light if you can stop before entering the intersection. If you cannot stop before the intersection, don't slow down for a yellow light and get caught. Get through the intersection quickly. When going straight, stay out of right turn only lanes. Start a right turn from near the right-hand edge of the road to avoid conflicts with traffic going straight. If your turning affects other vehicles, signal. Start a left turn from the lane next to the center line to avoid crossing in front of traffic going straight. Signal before moving left if your movement affects other vehicles. Where there is no special left turn lane, begin a left turn from just to the right of the center line. This allows cars going straight to pass on your right while you are waiting to turn. Turn left from a left turn only lane if there is one. Ride on the right side of this lane so you will end up on the right after the turn. For any left turn, yield to oncoming traffic before turning. To change lanes when riding near the center of the lane, look back, signal to other vehicle operators, and yield to any vehicles in the lane you want to enter. When sharing a lane with passing cars, change lanes in 2 steps. Look back. If a motorist begins to pass, don't move left. When a motorist gives you enough room, cross the lane and ride just to the right of the lane line. That's step 1. Look back again, and when a motorist gives you enough room, cross the lane line. That's step 2. In heavy traffic where you must maintain maximum control, hand signaling is dangerous. Hand signals are required when your turning affects other vehicles and taking a hand off the handlebar is safe. It is safe to ride 2 abreast when there is no traffic. But single up in traffic, both for your safety and as a courtesy to motorists. Bicycling according to the laws that regulate all vehicles is by far the safest way to ride. In order to ride safely in traffic, you must be able to control your bicycle well. Occasional practice in a deserted parking lot will increase your control and confidence. Practice riding as straight as you can down a painted line. There will always be some weave in your front wheel. This weaving keeps you upright. With practice, you can reduce this weave to about 6 inches. Practice looking back until you are able to do it without swerving. Steer the wheel first one way, then the other, to develop a feel for steering control. Practice to develop braking skill. To illustrate braking efficiency, this cyclist first uses his rear brake alone. Even though the rear wheel skids, the stopping distance is long. At the same speed, he uses his front brake alone. Now he uses both brakes properly. As the cyclist brakes, weight is transferred from the rear wheel to the front wheel. The added weight keeps the front wheel from skidding, making it brake more effectively than the rear wheel. But if too much force is applied to the front brake, the wheel locks, and the bike and rider pivot over it. As you practice braking, apply about 1/3 as much force to the rear brake as you do to the front brake. If the rear wheel starts skidding, it is beginning to lift off the pavement. Let up on the front brake immediately. With practice, you will learn instinctively just how much force you can safely apply to the brake levers. Practice dodging a sponge or cloth. You can dodge a small object without greatly altering your course by steering around it, then correcting the lean by steering the other way. This maneuver, called rock dodging, will help you avoid rocks, bottles, and holes in the road. An important defensive maneuver to practice is the instant turn. Abruptly steering the wheel in one direction sets up an immediate lean in the opposite direction. Use this lean to turn, and you will turn very quickly. Use caution. If you attempt an instant turn on pavement that is not clean and dry, your bike will slip out from under you. In many cases, the instant turn can be used to avoid collisions. If a motorist turns right in front of you, turn with him. If a motorist turns left toward you, turn with him. If a motorist restarts early from a stop sign, begin turning with him. If he keeps going, continue turning, but ride in front of him if he stops. Instant turns don't always work, especially if you have not practiced them or road conditions are poor. To avoid situations in which instant turns may be necessary, look well ahead and try to anticipate the movements of cars. Watch for small movements of the car. Establish eye contact if you can, to make sure you've been seen. Wet weather affects your ability to turn and brake. Moderate your speed, because a wet road surface is too slick to quickly turn or stop on. Wet painted portions of the road are especially slippery. So are wet metal plates and wet leaves. Grates or potholes can be hidden by leaves or by puddles. Don't ride through them. Wet brakes are inefficient. Allow more distance for stopping to avoid dangerous situations like this one. Wearing light-colored clothing makes you more visible. Yellow is best for this. Your visibility to others becomes particularly important at night. A bright white headlight not only helps you see the road ahead, but also helps you to be seen. White headlights, required by law, identify the front of any vehicle. This standard identification is understood by all vehicle operators. The brighter the light, the more visible you will be. Red is standard for the rear of a vehicle, and a red tail light or large red reflector will make you visible from a long distance behind. Additional lights and reflectors may help your visibility in some situations, but these are inadequate by themselves and are no substitute for a headlight and red tail light or reflector. Recreational riding is becoming more popular every year. And it's no wonder. Few activities are as healthful and enjoyable. By practicing safe riding habits, you will keep a collision or fall from spoiling your ride. Signal to your companions before you turn, just as you would to any other vehicle operator. Signal road hazards to alert your companions. Stay alert. Touching wheels can cause a fall. When you see railroad tracks ahead, look around for traffic. Then cross at right angles to the tracks so the rails don't catch your wheels, making you fall. The main danger from a dog, even a friendly one, is that you will run into it and flip over. Slow down and be ready to quickly steer away from it. When approaching a line of cars, watch for one pulling into your lane to pass. Sometimes all you can do is get out of the way. On rural roads, the greatest dangers from cars are this kind of improper passing and a motorist pulling in too soon when passing you. When riding up hills, single up and ride well to the right. At slow hill climbing speeds, it is safe to ride close to the edge of the road. This allows motorists to pass without having to move into the left-hand lane. Keep to the far right until you are far enough past the hill crest so that motorists can see you in enough time to pass safely or slow down. When riding down hills fast, stay away from the road edge, because road edge hazard increases as speed increases. Don't share the lane with passing cars. You are going too fast to do so safely. Here, as in the city, bicycling according to traffic law and maintaining good control of your bike will help make your trip safe and enjoyable. In some places where bike traffic is heavy, people are trying a new idea in bike safety: bikeways. Pedestrians have walkways to isolate them from cars. Why shouldn't bicyclists have bikeways, too? Where bike paths run far from roads, there is no threat from cars, because motor vehicles are excluded. This kind of bike path allows some of the most enjoyable and carefree riding. But where the bike path eventually intersects a road, too often both cyclist and motorist think they should have the right-of-way. The absence of universal right-of-way regulations governing bikeway road intersections adds to the confusion. Poorly planned bikeways have inherent problems. Moving bicycle traffic to a sidewalk creates problems for pedestrians and creates a new intersection for bicycles at every driveway. Because of visibility problems and vague right-of-way regulations, these intersections are often more dangerous than normal road or street intersections. The only safe way to ride on most sidewalk-type bike paths is to ride slowly and yield to any vehicles on intersecting roads and driveways. Bike lanes painted on the road create dangerous situations where they encourage vehicle operators to act contrary to traffic law. The car should be farther to the right to start a right turn. The bicyclist should not have stayed in the motorist's blind spot. Bike lanes that make the cyclist ride down the left side of the road put the cyclist in the same danger at intersections as any vehicle traveling on the left. Since law requires vehicles to travel on the right-hand side of the road, motorists don't expect vehicles to be traveling on the left-hand side. Since there is no universal system of regulations for the many varied bikeway and bikeway road systems, every rider rides as he thinks best. Forced to switch between the roles of pedestrian on the sidewalk, cyclist on the bikeway, and vehicle on the roadway, his movements become unpredictable and hazardous to himself and others. There is a more organized, safer way to bicycle. As the competent operator of a vehicle on the road.